Welcome to a fascinating exploration of how our brains handle creativity under pressure. Why does pressure sometimes spark brilliant ideas, but other times completely block our creative thinking? This is the creativity paradox. Let's understand how stress affects the brain in two completely opposite ways. Not all stress is equal. Some stress energizes us, while other stress paralyzes us. But why? Psychologists call good stress eustress and bad stress distress. These two types have completely different effects on our creative abilities. Scientists discovered a fundamental relationship between stress and performance over a century ago. Performance is a function of arousal or stress level, but not in the way you might think. The Yerkes-Dodson law shows that performance follows an inverted U-curve. Too little stress, and we're unmotivated. Too much stress, and we freeze. Peak performance happens at moderate stress levels. Research suggests peak creative performance occurs at roughly 50% of maximum arousal levels. Let's dive into the neuroscience behind this paradox. Two brain regions dominate this story: the prefrontal cortex for creative thinking and the amygdala for threat detection. Under high stress, the amygdala hijacks brain resources from the prefrontal cortex. This is why severe pressure kills creativity. The creative center literally gets shut down. A hormone called cortisol is the chemical messenger of stress. Cortisol levels can be modeled exponentially over time, where C0 is baseline, K is the growth rate, and T is time under stress. At low to moderate levels, cortisol actually enhances our focus and improves memory formation. This is helpful for creativity. But at high levels, cortisol damages the hippocampus and blocks new learning, destroying our ability to make creative connections. Normal cortisol ranges from 10 to 20 micrograms per deciliter. Creative performance peaks here. Above 25, we start losing flexibility. Above 40, creativity crashes. So if pressure is bad, why do deadlines often lead to creative breakthroughs? Deadlines work because they create just enough pressure to force focus without overwhelming the system. Focus equals motivation divided by options. Deadlines increase motivation and reduce the paralysis of infinite choices. Without deadlines, our mental energy scatters in all directions. With deadlines, energy converges toward a single goal, creating the focus state needed for breakthroughs. Here's a surprising fact. Sometimes the best ideas come when we step away. Why do we get our best ideas in the shower, or while walking, or just before falling asleep? Creativity is proportional to activation of the default mode network, a brain system that activates during rest and mind wandering. The pattern is clear. Intense focused work, followed by rest periods, leads to creative insights. This is why breaks aren't wasted time. They're essential for breakthroughs. Research shows that 20% of creative insights happen during deliberate breaks or incubation periods, not during active work. Can we calculate the optimal stress level for creativity? Optimal performance equals maximum potential times 1 minus e to the negative lambda t times e to the negative mu s, where t is time pressure and s is overall stress. Lambda represents how strongly the deadline motivates us. Higher lambda means the deadline feels more urgent. Mu represents how sensitive we are to stress. People with high mu collapse under pressure more quickly. Typical values from research: lambda around 0.3 per day and mu around 0.15. Let's calculate an example with a 3-day deadline and moderate background stress. Say we have 3 days until deadline and background stress at 5 units on a 10-point scale. Plugging into our formula, 100 times 1 minus e to the negative 0.9 times e to the negative 0.75. This gives us roughly 28% of maximum potential performance. Not bad, but not optimal either. How can we apply these principles to boost creativity in practice? Instead of one big deadline creating massive stress, break projects into smaller milestones that create manageable pressure. One big deadline creates overwhelming stress. Multiple smaller deadlines maintain optimal moderate pressure throughout the project. Build rest periods into your schedule. These aren't breaks from work. They're essential parts of the creative process. Research suggests optimal ratios around 50 minutes of focused work, followed by 10-minute rest periods. Paradoxically, adding constraints can boost creativity by narrowing focus and reducing decision paralysis. Three key chemicals orchestrate the creativity pressure balance in your brain. Dopamine drives reward and motivation. Norepinephrine controls arousal and alertness. Serotonin regulates mood and anxiety. All three must balance perfectly for optimal creativity. We can model creativity as K times dopamine times norepinephrine divided by serotonin plus sigma, where sigma represents baseline anxiety. When norepinephrine spikes too high, we experience anxiety that blocks the flexible thinking needed for creative insights. Without adequate dopamine, we lack the motivation and reward anticipation that drives creative exploration. The ultimate creative state is flow, where challenge and skill perfectly balance. Flow occurs when challenge equals skill level. Too much challenge creates anxiety. Too little creates boredom. The diagonal line represents the flow channel. Flow state can be quantified as the maximum of 0 or 1 minus the absolute value of challenge minus skill. Counterintuitively, parts of the prefrontal cortex actually decrease activity during flow, reducing self-criticism and allowing spontaneous creativity. During flow, time perception distorts dramatically. Hours can feel like minutes because we're fully absorbed in the creative process. The brain needs both chaos and clarity for optimal creativity. Chaos represents divergent thinking and exploration of possibilities. Clarity represents convergent thinking and execution. Both are essential for complete creative work. Total creativity equals alpha times chaos plus 1 minus alpha times clarity, where alpha shifts based on the creative phase. In early brainstorming phases, we need more chaos, alpha close to 1, to generate many diverse ideas. In later execution phases, we need more clarity, alpha close to 0, to refine and implement our ideas effectively. How do great creative minds toggle between chaotic exploration and focused execution? The answer is deliberate structuring. They create chaos through brainstorming and play, then create clarity through routine and discipline. Let's create a practical protocol for optimizing your creative pressure. First, honestly assess your current stress level on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 to 3 is too low. You need more challenge. 4 to 7 is the optimal zone. 8 to 10 is too high. You need stress reduction first. If baseline stress is low, set tighter deadlines. If baseline stress is high, give yourself more buffer time. Optimal deadline time equals work complexity W divided by 1 plus stress level S over 5. Eliminate distractions, ensure physical comfort, and create clear start and stop rituals for work sessions. Schedule breaks before you think you need them. Walk, meditate, or do light physical activity to activate the default mode network. Keep a creativity journal. Note when breakthroughs happen and what conditions preceded them. Optimize based on your personal patterns. Most creative breakthroughs follow a predictable pattern over time. Creative progress often plateaus for extended periods, then suddenly breaks through with rapid advancement. The plateau isn't failure, it's incubation. Most people quit during the frustrating plateau phase, right before the breakthrough would have occurred. The ability to persist through the discomfort of the plateau while maintaining moderate pressure separates breakthrough creators from the rest. Let's resolve the creativity paradox with everything we've learned. The paradox resolves at the center. Optimal, moderate pressure. Too little and we lack focus. Too much and we freeze. The sweet spot enables breakthroughs. True creative genius emerges from skill multiplied by optimal pressure maintained over sufficient time. Pressure itself doesn't kill or create genius. The dosage makes the difference between breakthrough and breakdown. Our brains are literally designed to thrive on challenge that sits right at the edge of our current abilities. The complete creative process requires balancing chaotic exploration with clear execution. Deadlines should be tools that focus energy, not weapons that create paralyzing fear. Rest is not the opposite of work, but an essential part of the creative process that allows for recovery, reflection, and incubation.